The father turned up, the saga, the drama. Eubank Senior turned up and the limo door opens. I think that night I wasn't there, I've got to confess. I was hosting Floyd Mayweather on stage in Birmingham that night.
Good excuse.
Tony Bellew genuinely fearing that David Haye might kill him in the ring. He has incredible self-belief, incredible confidence. He knows that if he lands his equaliser, people go to sleep.
This is Final Round from William Hill with me, Lee Phelps, and the one and only Gareth A. Davis. Gareth, please tell them what happens in the final round.
Lee, in the final round, those last 3 minutes, we leave it all in the ring.
Will we get to the final round of Fabio Wardley, Daniel Dubois? I am so excited about this fight, Gareth. I mean, there are all sorts of heavyweight fights you could put in the mix right now. This one has really got the juices flowing. If you're enjoying Final Round on YouTube, please remember, subscribe, like the videos, check out the shorts. We're on social media as well, of course. All Gareth's picks week in, week out on the boxing. Tell a friend and comment below. Before we get into your preview of the fight, and I can't wait for it, you've been in really good form with the heavyweight fights recently. I just wanted to talk about this as a British boxing night. It could go down in history. We hope it does, in terms of, we hope any fight lives up to the hype. What I thought I'd do, given your long-standing career, been doing this for, since 1990? I thought I would ask you to blind rank some of the best British boxing nights. So I've got 6. Okay. I'm going to ask you to rank them 1 to 6 and what you think is the best. Either for whatever reason, you can pick the reason, whether it's, the greatest atmosphere that you've been at, whether it's the greatest fight. I'll let you decide, but these are going from 1 to 6.
I've got a pen and paper for this because I need to see what I've chosen where. I know we're blind ranking. I love these quiz games, and this is where we get stuck. But like you say, 36 years, certainly since I've started reporting on it. First 1990, it would have been York Hall, Bethnal Green, where I started, ringing my copy in on the phone, and the late, great Colin Hart going past and saying things like, "Make it sing, son." So I've seen a few things down my time. I think it's something like 40 countries, over 150 different cities I've covered boxing in. So this is going to be interesting, but it's the British ones. So
all British. Yeah, that's what we're going to go
because
for.
The thing is about Wardley and Dubois, it's 2 young British fighters still in their prime, isn't it? Where it's a pick 'em. I know we'll come on to that after this, but go on, fire away then, and I'll blind pick.
Okay, let's start with Carl Froch, George Groves 2. Where does that rank? And remember, you don't know what the other 5 are.
Wembley, 80,000, an amazing build-up, a cannonball right hand that knocked Groves out, an incredible build-up to the whole thing. Really shocked us how many people were there. Started the big stadium fights again. I'm going 3.
Oof. Wow. Let's go next. We're going to go with Kell Brook, Amir Khan.
6.
Lots of build-up.
6.
Straight off the bat.
6 straight away, because it was a battle of who has got the most left. Is it Amir Khan, or who's got the least left? And it was Amir Khan over Kell Brook. It was Kell Brook over Amir Khan, if I want to put it that way. He had slightly more left than Amir Khan. It could have happened 5 years earlier. They argued about what weight division, who was the A side. I'm going 6 on that one.
Okay, yeah, fair. Let's go Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. 1.
Great night, one of the fights of the year last year. Great occasion. Conor Benn gave us all. Eubank was amazing. The father turned up, the saga, the drama. Eubank Senior turned up and the limo door opens and they walked out. Simply the best. It was an amazing night, an amazing promotion. Look where Conor Benn's gone since then, to be honest. I'm going 5 with that one.
Oh, that's interesting. You might regret that, but next I'm going to give you David Haye, Tony Bellew one.
Which one?
The first one.
The first one. Okay. Real drama. Weirdly, I think that night I wasn't there. I've got to confess. I was hosting Floyd Mayweather on stage in Birmingham that night.
Good excuse.
It was a good excuse. And also that night, Al Foran, the impersonator, just to tell you a little story here, because we are on our podcast, so we can tell, we're not doing a kind of 90-second recording of Final Round Extra anymore.
Go for it.
That was the night that Al Foran got up on stage, and it's about 9 years ago, that fight, because we've just had the anniversary of it, and he impersonated Conor McGregor. And he came up on stage, and I got Floyd Mayweather to agree to fight Conor McGregor that night. I'm not saying that I made the fight happen, but we certainly helped that night with him agreeing that he would fight Conor McGregor. Wow, it was a big build-up to that fight. Tony Bellew kind of genuinely fearing that David Haye might kill him in the ring. And really talking up. They absolutely hated each other and all the press calls and everything. I'm going to put that at number 4. Haye versus Bellew, Bellew versus Haye.
Yeah. Okay, at the minute we've got in 6th place Cal Brook, Amir Khan. 5th place Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. 1. 4th place David Haye, Tony Bellew. 3rd place Carl Froch, George Groves 2. 2 left. I'm going to go Frank Bruno, Lennox Lewis, 1993.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I think I know what your other one is, because they were only a week apart in that year, I think. I'm going to go a lot of rivalry. Bruno has never forgiven Lewis for some of the things he said. It was the Battle of Britain, genuinely. It was an amazing fight. Frank Bruno did brilliantly with his jab that night. It was a terrific fight until Lennox took over just after the 5th round, and he stopped Frank, of course. I think it was in the 7th. I may be wrong, but I think it was the 7th round. I don't know if you've got that in front of you there, but I'm pretty sure it was around about then. If I'm wrong, I apologise. I'm going to go with number 2 for that one. Number 2 in the list of 6, blind ranking. I think I'm doing okay here,
Yeah. And which you've already predicted the remaining fight, which was Chris Eubank versus Nigel Benn. I mean, I guess you could pick 1 or 2, couldn't you? I mean, you were alluding to 2 before, obviously the first fight in 1990, of course. But I think everyone watching this and listening to this would hands down say that has to be top of the tree, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because of the bad blood between the two men, because of the nature of the war. It was an absolute war. I remember the referee, Richard Steele, saying it was one of the most dramatic fights he'd ever been in the ring. He was an ex-Marine and a referee who'd done major nights all over the world and in Las Vegas, and him saying that it was one of the most dramatic fights he'd ever been involved in. Incredible fight, brutal war. I'm picking that as I have to, because I've eliminated the other ones. Ben Eubank one, is the biggest one for me, the biggest rivalry. I think I did all right there, Mr. Lee Phelps.
Yeah,
I'm
like
quite pleased with myself, as you can tell.
You might. I guess you might, if you knew the list, you might switch Ben Eubank Jr. with Haye Bellew. But is there any that there's a few that we've missed. If you think about what do you call the biggest British fight? I mean, if you think about the numbers that they generate now in crowds and and revenue, then you'd probably put like Tyson Fury, Dillian White up there, and you'd put Joshua Dubois up there just for the sheer numbers of people going to these fights. I mean, you look how many of those there are now compared to the 90s, when you didn't have that many, and that gap between the 90s and the present day, the Froch Groves fights. There's a big gap where there weren't that many huge all British fights, were there?
No, and I'm going to be controversial here because a lot of people won't agree with me on this. But if Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury step into a ring together, it will be the biggest one we've ever seen, both financially and in terms of the number of eyeballs on the sport and on this fight. That will be the biggest, most watched all-British fight, even not for a title, of course, just for the championship of each other. In my view, the biggest it will be the biggest all-British fight we'll have ever seen.
Yeah, huge, absolutely huge. Should we
get back to reality?
Yeah, and this one could be, absolutely sensational, couldn't it? I mean, you look at the betting. It's Fabio Wardley's 5-6, Daniel Dubois even money. I mean, we talk about boxing week in, week out, and often, even though we talk about them being close fights, the betting doesn't have them as close fights. This is about as close to a pick'em as you're going to get. We're going to go huge on this. We've been going big on all the heavyweight fights. We had the epic boost on the Tyson Fury fight with Arsenal. Makhmudov will have all those kind of boosts for this one, the price boost as well. So this is one of those fights that feels like it's going to get everyone going. It's our job now, Gareth, to try and pick the bones out of it and see who wins. Should we maybe take each fighter at a time and say, how do they win? Let's start with Fabio Wardley, a fighter who, by your own admission, you've consistently backed against in a sense. You've we've all done it. We've thought this is the bit where he's just gone a bit too far. He's just a bit too far down the road. Joseph Parker, a great example. Everyone thinks he's going to know too much. He won't be able to last it. And then what happens? How does Fabio Wardley win this fight?
Well, you have to rewind to, I think, the two Fraser Clarke fights to begin with. Obviously, he's had a draw against Fraser Clarke in an epic war. In fact, that could have been in this list.
Yeah.
Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clarke won. It was an incredible night. I remember we were doing commentary, a live watch along that night for Talk Sport. It's one of the most gripping heavyweight fights I've ever seen. It was brilliant. Both men gave their all for 12 rounds, and obviously it was a draw in the end. I picked Fraser Clarke in the rematch. I thought he'd outbox Fabio the second fight. I got it completely wrong. And obviously Fabio clattered him in that horrific moment in Riyadh and disfigured Fraser early in the fight. He was brilliant in that contest. He got better and better then. When you saw him against Justice Hooney, he never got dismayed or disappointed in himself or downcast when he fell behind round after round after round at Portman Road in the rain and his home in Ipswich. And he came back and he knocked out Justice Hooney really late in the contest. And you look how good Justice Hooney is. Look what he's just done against Fraser Clarke in the 10 rounds that they had at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the undercard of the latest Tyson Fury fight. Brilliant equaliser in that fight. He's got a doggedness about him that you cannot teach someone. He's brilliantly led by Ben Davison as a trainer. He's still got all his old team there from his amateur days, from his white collar days. He's an extraordinary story. He loves and savours the battle. And then he goes into the fight with Joseph Parker, which I picked against him again. And I thought he was down in rounds in that one as well, and pulls out an incredible stoppage. He's an extraordinary fighter. And I'm picking him, before we get to it, I'm picking him late at the moment. I see him doing it later on in the fight, after 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds. That's where I am at the moment. You're not going to force me into my ultimate pick. Is there anything you agree or disagree with me on what I've just said?
No, it all makes sense. Do you know what? I don't know what it is about Fabio Wardley, and this is going to be an odd thing to say in a way, Gareth, but I never think when I watch him being interviewed that he's as big as the rest of the heavyweights. For some reason in my mind, I have him as being a bit smaller. Actually, he's the same height as Daniel Dubois. They'll probably be the same weight on the night, same reach. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's a big lump, but for some reason in my mind, I don't think of it. And so I don't know if everyone else thinks that. And maybe it's because he's so eloquent as well. And he's the way he does his interviews, it's almost like you don't think he's as tough and as destructive as he is, but I tend to agree. Are you saying then to win this fight, what he's got to do is avoid getting clattered by Daniel Dubois in the first 3 to 4 rounds.
Yeah, maybe first 5 or 6 rather than 3 or 4. 5 or 6. But what he's got better with every performance. He's got an incredible chin. He doesn't know the meaning of defeat. He literally doesn't know the meaning of defeat. He doesn't have a lot of miles on the clock. He doesn't have great concerns about... He has incredible self-belief, incredible confidence. And he knows that if he lands his equaliser, people go to sleep. And he's proven it again and again and again. He's proven it against Clark, he's proven it against Hooley, and he's proven it against Parker. And those guys are very, very talented.
Yeah. I mean, again, you kind of 20 wins, 19 stoppages. I mean, it just doesn't get talked about enough, really. I mean, that one, the split draw was the only one that's gone the distance against Fraser Clark. Yeah, it's fascinating. What about Dubois then? I mean, he's a curious case, Daniel Dubois, isn't he? And you talk about all the mental stability that Fabio Wardley has and the mental strength. Well, I'm not going to mention the Q word, by the way, but like you could argue that.
What, quitter, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that is the case. I don't think he does quit in fights. And I would, there's no way I'd be standing here as someone who talks about boxing, is very privileged to do it, and accuse any boxer of doing that, to be perfectly honest. But in the fights against, Joe Joyce, obviously it was a bad injury. Against Usyk, in both fights, you think, was that a heavy enough punch to stop the fight, especially in the last one? You think it didn't look like, I mean, Usyk's fantastic in the speed and the quality, but has he got the mental strength to see this one through if he doesn't get Wardley out of there early?
I'm in the same camp as you as not using the word quitter of people, by the way. It's not a term I will employ. I don't believe in it. I think it's an outdated and old-fashioned term. If fellow fighters want to use the term quitter, that's fine. But I don't think I have the right to call people a quitter. I think he got his face jabbed off that night against Joe Joyce in lockdown in a very weird environment. I think his eye was damaged in that bout. I think against Alexander Usyk on both occasions that I was at, of course. I do think I've gone on record as saying I thought it was a low blow against Alexander Usyk, even though he was having a really good fight, Daniel, up to that point in the bout with Alexander Usyk in Poland. Usyk broke him mentally in the first fight, and I think he had him broken in the second fight by coming forward, closing the distance, and being very aggressive with Daniel Dubois, which is what Fabio Wardley will need to do against him. If you let Daniel Dubois get into a rhythm and let him get that big booming jab going and let him get confidence in the fight, we know he's an on-top fighter, which is a term I will use. He likes to be the aggressor. We saw that against Anthony Joshua. Very quick start, hurt him early, stayed on it. Still got caught a couple of times. He can be caught, Daniel. I'm glad he's back with Don Charles. We're mentioning the trainers here as well. I think Don is good for him. I think Don is good for his mental capacity. Talk about mental strength. I think we've seen sometimes him have mental strength, which he had against Filip Hrgović. He had against Jarrell Miller. He went through something and proved that he has got it when he needs it. So, like you say, he's a curious case of sometimes he has, sometimes he hasn't. I think Fabio Wardley needs to make some inroads in this fight early on in the contest and not let Daniel Dubois run away with it.
Let's get into it then, Gareth. I mentioned at the start of the episode that Fabio Wardley is a marginal favourite in a pick'em as we record this, 5-6, even money. The draw 16-1. Wardley by stoppage is 5-4. Dubois by stoppage is 13-8. That's where you start to see the kind of difference in prices. Wardley by decision is 11-2. It's the same price Dubois by decision. Tell us how the fight goes, and then and I know there's two ways of looking at this. Let's discuss that, and then I'll pin you down for one pick at the end.
Well, as I say, for me, Daniel Dubois is very dangerous for the first 6 rounds in this fight. And then I think Fabio Wardley is very dangerous the longer the fight goes. I mean, having said that, these two are both huge punchers, very dangerous fighters. So it's possible that Fabio Wardley could win the fight early. It's possible that Dubois could win the fight early or late. Fabio could win the fight late. But the way that these two guys move, the history of them, it's Dubois dangerous early, Wardley dangerous late. It's a great fight. It's got anticipation written all over it. It's got great excitement written all over it. We all head up to Manchester on May the 9th for this. Wow, it's so difficult to pick. It really is so difficult to pick this fight. But you want to pick, yeah?
Well, let me just give some prices around kind of the early and the late finish. I think it'd be interesting to look at that. So if you look at Dubois early, let's just say first half of the fight, he's 100-30 to stop Wardley early. Wardley to win second half of the fight by stoppage is 16-5, so just a smidgen over 3-1. So there's not much between those two. That's kind of what the traders view it as well. I mean, if you go, obviously you can narrow the grouped round betting down to 2 rounds or 3 rounds. If you think Dubois in the first 3, 9-1. If you think Wardley in the last 3, 8-1. So there's lots of ways of doing this. I mean, you know, the points win, I've already said that, 11-2. They're both the same price on points. So yeah, there's ways of there's different ways of looking at this. And I can understand your thought pattern, you know, as to why you'd want to go early Dubois or late Wardley. What's it going?
Yeah, but I'm actually going to I'm really going to throw this out. That's what I see as a sensible pick, but I don't think this fight's going to go late. I don't think this fight will go late, and I think Fabio Wardley knows that. I think Ben Davison knows that. And I think Don Charles and Daniel Dubois knows that. And I think we're going to end up with a bit of a shootout by rounds 2 or 3. I am going to pick Fabio Wardley in round 6, 5 or 6 to win this fight by stoppage. I'm going with Wardley for once. It wouldn't surprise me if Daniel Dubois outboxes Wardley as well, by the way, and because he's got great boxing skills as well, and even stops Fabio Wardley. But there's something weird about Fabio Wardley. I've got him retaining his world title with a 5th or 6th round stoppage.
That's 15-2 for rounds 5 or 6. You can, like I said, you can widen it out a little bit to go first half of the fight, Wardley. You can go 4, 5 or 6. You can even back the fight just to end, so you don't have to pick a winner. You can say the round to the fight to finish between a certain round as well. So all the betting is available at William Hill, of course. You'll have, like I said at the start, you'll have all the boosts available on the fight. So check those all out. It's going to be fascinating. And obviously that world title that Wardley's got, Dubois has been in a similar situation where almost given the world title before winning it in the ring, if you like. It's going to be a fascinating night, Gareth. I personally can't wait. It's going to be amazing, isn't it?
What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, my gut instinct says that Dubois gets to him early. Like you said, I think Dubois will go out there and just put it on him straight off the bat. And we've seen Dubois when he did that against Joshua. I was so impressed. I thought Joshua would beat him, but when Dubois really lays it on the line and goes after his opponent, I think it's hard to resist that. And I think it will be a shootout. And I think I'll just go Dubois, but. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised by either. The only thing I'd be surprised about is if it went to points.
Yeah, as you know, I picked Anthony Joshua to win against Daniel Dubois as well, and Don Charles wasn't very happy about it and gave me a lot of grief in the TalkSport studio. We're speaking again now, thankfully, but it was one of those fights that you can't predict. This is an impossible fight to predict accurately. Anything could happen. It could go to points. It could be a late stoppage for either man. It could be an early stoppage for either man. But I'm going Fabio Wardley, rounds 5 or 6 for the stoppage, as you say, which is 15-2, isn't it?
We'd love to get your thoughts on the fight. Please comment below, like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, but most of all, enjoy the fight this weekend. You can check out all the odds and the offers right here at William Hill, but we've left it all in the ring. The final bell is tolled. We'll see you next time.